In this video, I'm going to go through 22 through 28 of your quarter one study guide. So for 22, it says let f of x equals 2x squared plus 4 and g of x equals x minus 3. Find the following. So I have these two functions. We're going to add them together, subtract them, multiply, and then divide when x is negative 1. The first three, adding, subtracting, multiplying, will still have x in our answer. But for the third one, or the last one, when we do the division, we will have a number as a solution because we're going to substitute in a value for x. So we're going to start with addition. So f plus g of x means I'm going to take f of x and I'm going to add g of x to it. So f of x is 2x squared plus 4, and I'm going to add x minus 3. Now I need to simplify my answer by combining like terms. So my like terms here are the 4 and negative 3. So I'm still going to have 2x squared plus x. 4 minus 3 will give me 1. So my answer here is 2x squared plus x plus 1. The second one, I am going to subtract. F minus g of x means I'm going to take f of x and subtract g of x. When I subtract g of x, I need to distribute that negative sign to each piece in my second part of my expression with the x minus 3. So I'm going to have 2x squared plus 4 for f of x, and then I'm going to subtract x minus 3. So I need to distribute this negative to each part in the second part of my equation. So I'm going to have 2x squared plus 4. The negative times x will give me negative x. Negative times a negative will give me a positive 3. Last step, I need to combine any like terms. Like terms here, 4, a positive 4, and a positive 3. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus x. 4 plus 3 will give me 7. So my solution is 2x squared minus x plus 7. The third part of this problem is f times g of x. So I'm going to take f of x and multiply that by g of x. So f of x is 2x squared plus 4 times x minus 3. So here I have two binomials. When I multiply binomials, I am going to have to use the FOIL method to multiply them. So first outer, inner, last. So first 2x squared times x will give me 2x cubed. Outer 2x squared times negative 3 will give me negative 6x squared. Inner 4 times x will give me 4x. And then last 4 times negative 3. Let me get rid of that because I went over the x squared. 4 times negative 3 will give me negative 12. Now here I have 2x cubed minus 6x squared plus 4x minus 12. There are no like terms here, so that's going to be my answer. Last but not least, f divided by g of negative 1. So that means I'm going to take f of negative 1, divide that by g of negative 1. So I need to find f of negative 1 first. So I'm going to go substitute in negative 1 into my function. So I'm going to have 2x squared, so 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4. Negative 1 squared is 1, so I have 2 times 1 plus 4. 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 plus 4 will give me 6. So that's my first part. Now I need to go and find g of negative 1. So I'm going to go put negative 1 into g. So that's going to be negative 1 minus 3, and negative 1 minus 3 gives me negative 4. So now I'm going to divide these two values. So I'm going to have 6 over negative 4, and this fraction can be simplified. I can divide the top and bottom by 2. So I'm going to get 3 over negative 2. So my solution here is 3 over negative 2. For number 23, I'm going to use the graph to identify the key features. Domain is what my x values can be. Range is what my y values can be. So for domain, I'm going from left to right to identify that. And then for range, I'm going from bottom to top. So going from left to right, if I go all the way to the left of my graph here, this is going to keep on going up. So my x value will keep on going left further and further towards negative infinity. So my domain will start at negative infinity, and then as I go to the right, my graph is going to keep on going down, so my x value will keep on going bigger and bigger and bigger to positive infinity. So you can write the interval negative infinity to positive infinity, or you can say all real numbers. For range, I'm going from bottom to top. So as I go to the bottom here, my graph's going to keep on going down, so my y value will keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller and go towards negative infinity. As I go to the top of my graph here, my y value going to keep going up and up and up to positive infinity. So you can write the interval negative infinity to positive infinity, or you can write all real numbers. X-intercepts are going to be where my graph crosses the x-axis. So where it crosses the x-axis, right here and here. So my x-intercepts will be 0 and 5. Y-intercepts where it crosses the y-axis, which is only going to be here at 0. So 0 is an x-intercept and a y-intercept. F of 4, that means I'm going to find what y values are equal to, or what y values correspond with x equals 4. So I need to go on my graph, find 4, okay, on my x-axis. I'm going to draw a vertical line here. Where it crosses my function, okay, that's going to be right here. I have to go and look at my y-axis to identify that y value. So that y value is going to be -1. So f of 4 is going to equal -1. Now we're going to look at increasing and decreasing. Increasing is when my graph is going up. Decreasing is when it's going down. So for increasing, I'm going to highlight that in green. Decreasing, I'm going to highlight that in red. So I'm going to go from left to right to start. So going all the way to the left, my graph starts to decrease. And then when it reaches that point, it continues to decrease. At this point, though, it's going to go up for a little bit. Then it starts to decrease again. So there's one section that's increasing, so I'll have one interval for that. There's two sections that are decreasing, so I will have two intervals. So starting with increasing, increasing starts here at 4 and goes until 5. So these are going to be square brackets because they're included, and it's going to be from 4 to 5. So square bracket 4, comma, 5, square bracket. For decreasing, starting with this first section, this arrow means it keeps on going. So that's going to go towards negative infinity. Then it stops here at 4. So from negative infinity to 4 is my first interval. Second interval starts at 5. Oops, sorry, that was supposed to be a square bracket for 4. So negative infinity has a parenthesis, 4 has the square bracket. Then I'm going to start at 5, so square bracket, 5. Graph continues to go down forever and ever, goes towards positive infinity, so positive infinity, parenthesis. So now I'm going to do positive and negative. Positive is going to be above the x-axis, negative is going to be below. So anything above will be this section here, stops at 0, and then negative will be this other piece. So I'm going to have one interval for positive, one interval for negative. So as I go to the left here, this positive section keeps on going up. So that's going to go towards negative infinity on the x-axis, or my x values. Stops here at 0. So from negative infinity to 0. Then for negative, it starts at 0. And then it keeps on going down forever and ever. So my y value is going to keep getting bigger. So that's going to go towards positive infinity. The last part, find the smallest value of a such that f of a equals -1. So this -1 here, that means when y is -1. So on my graph, I'm going to go find where -1 is for y. Okay, that's right here. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line. So it crosses right here, 1 point and 2 points. So I need to find the smallest value. The smallest value is going to be the one further to the left here. So that is going to be the x value 4, okay? But here we're talking about a, so we're just going to say a equals 4. 24, solve the system without using Desmos. So we have 2x plus 7y equals negative 5. 5x minus 7y equals 12. My y values are 7y and negative 7y. So these guys are opposite signs. So I am going to add. I'm going to use elimination and I'm going to add down. So 2x plus 5x gives me 7x. And then negative 5 plus 12, that is going to give me 7. Now I need to go and simplify to isolate my variable. So I need to divide both sides by 7. So I'm going to get x equals 1. Now my solution needs to be an ordered pair, so I need to go and find my y value. So I have the x value, I need to go find y. So I can use either equation, either the first or the second. I'm going to use the first equation. So we have 2x plus 7y equals negative 5. And I'm going to go substitute in what we got for x. So 2 times 1 plus 7y equals negative 5. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 7y equals negative 5. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So I get 7y equals negative 7. And then divide both sides by 7 to get x equals negative 1. Or not x, sorry. Y equals negative 1. So now I need to write my ordered pair for my solution. It's going to be 1, comma, negative 1. For 25, I have y equals 3x minus 9, 5x plus 4y equals 32. I have one equation that's has a variable by itself. So I'm going to take what y equals, substitute it in for y into my second equation. So I'm going to have 5x plus 4, and y is now going to become 3x minus 9, and this equals 32. So first I need to distribute this 4 to each piece. So I'm going to have 5x plus 12x minus 36 equals 32. Now I need to combine my like terms. So 5x plus 12x, I'll get 17x minus 36 equals 32. Then I want to get 17x by itself. So I'm going to add 36 to both sides. So I get 17x equals 68. Then divide by 17. So we get x equals 4. After I get my x value, I have to go get my y. You can use either equation. I'm going to use the first one, substitute in what we got for x. So y equals 3 times 4 minus 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 9 gives me 3. So my ordered pair is going to be 4, 3. 26, let g of x equals negative 2 times x minus 1 quantity squared plus 7. So first we're going to go ahead to describe the transformations from the parent function f of x equals x squared. So I need to look at my a, h, and k. So starting with my a, I have negative 2. The negative tells me it's going to open down. The 2 tells me it's going to be stretched by a factor of 2. Inside my parentheses is a horizontal translation. It's minus 1. Remember, inside lies. So this means I'm going right 1 unit. On the outside, plus 7, that's going to be my vertical translation. That means I'm going up 7 units. Axis of symmetry is going to be where my x equals my h. So in my equation above, my h value, remember inside lies, so it says negative 1, but my h value is going to be positive 1, and my k is going to be 7. So if I would write my vertex, that would be 1, 7. So my axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 1. C, state whether the graph has a maximum or minimum and the value. My graph opens down. So it's going to look like this. My vertex there is the highest point, so that means I am going to have a maximum. So in this situation, I am going to have a maximum at, and it's always the y value of your vertex, so y equals 7. For 27, it says write the quadratic function in standard form with x-intercepts -3, 0, and 2, 0. So -3 will be my p, 2 will be my q, and here, since we're not given an additional point, a is going to be 1. So I'm going to have y equals 1 times x minus -3 times x minus 2. Since I have a 1 in front, the 1 coefficient you don't normally need to write. You can write it if you want, but anything times 1 is just itself. So x minus -3 will be x plus 3, and then I have x minus 2. We are writing it in standard form, so I need to go multiply this out. So I'm going to FOIL. So I'm going to do first, outer, inner, last. So for first, I have x times x, which gives me x squared. Outer, x times -2, -2x. Inner, 3 times x, positive 3x. And then last, 3 times -2 will give me -6. Now I'm going to combine my like terms, so -2x and 3x. So I'm going to have y equals x squared plus x minus 6. So that is my equation in standard form. Last question, 28. The solution to the system below is -2, 0. So that's going to be my x and y. What is the value of k? My equations are 3x minus 9y equals -6, and kx plus 6y equals -12. The only equation with k is the second one. So I am going to take that equation, substitute in x and y, solve for k. So I have k times -2 plus 6 times y, which is 0, equals -6. -2 times k is going to be -2k. 6 times 0 is 0, so that goes away. And this equals -6. Divide both sides by -2. So I'm going to get k equals -6 divided by -2 will give me 3. So k is 3.